Probably as history looks back on 2020, they will see this as the watershed year on the issue of global climate change. As we know, one of the primary policies of the Trump administration is denying, as another hoax, the entire issue of global climate change. You would have thought that he would have been impeached for that, not just withdrawing from the Paris agreements, as he has undertaken to do, but the fact that he is taking steps to multiply the amount of petroleum being generated out of the United States, originally in the name of protecting us against a major energy crisis in the country and trying to establish our independence on Middle Eastern oil. But in fact, very soon after his executive orders, he made it clear that what he was really up to is trying to establish the United States as the number one exporter of petroleum in the entire world. And by the United States, he means the private oil corporations. And it's this conflation of the major corporations, privately owned for private profit corporations, with the actual country itself. This is his worst betrayal. This is placing the interests of the major corporations and himself as a major sponsor of the corporations above the interests of the country, indeed above the interests of the planet. Now, that is what he should be being impeached for. And we talked about this at the course that we taught in the spring quarter at the University of California at Santa Cruz. And these are all available. All of those lectures are available. And I'd recommend people take a look at that. That you need to make your own decisions here about what it is that's happening. And what I want to do, and what our office as a 501c3 public interest, public education organization want to emphasize to you about what's going on as a matter of reality. Number one, that global climate change is real. Global climate change is an existential threat to the continued existence not only of our civilization as we know it, but of the human family itself, as well as thousands of other species on our planet. This could, in fact, be the sixth extinction. And so that the seriousness of this moment and the kind of decisions you're going to be making in the electoral process is, I'm emphasizing, I'm not advocating you're voting for one party member or another. What I'm saying is you need to look at the candidates and look at what their positions are on this issue of global climate change, and to select those that acknowledge the reality of it, that acknowledge the seriousness of it, and who are dedicated to doing something radical that is essential right now to stop this. Okay, that's number one. Number two, it's absolutely clear that the problem that we have with Donald Trump being president transcends any type of party affiliations, that he is a constitutional criminal. And it's essential that everybody understand that. He is in flagrant disregard of the constitutional constraints on the office of the presidency. He's destroying the relationship between the executive branch and the legislative branch. He is trying to, he's stacking the entire federal judicial system with some 236 judges, which they're hand-picking to have a completely reactionary worldview that is going to destabilize the legitimacy of the judicial system, the federal judicial system in our country for decades. And so this has to stop right now, that we have to band together, Republicans, Democrats, Green Party people, Liberal Party people, Conservative Party people, Libertarian people. We have to, totally independent people, have to join together to remove this person from office, to get him out of office as soon as possible. Okay, so that's a second major issue. A third major issue is this: we are on the brink right now of experiencing the most radical change in the relationship of our human species to each other because of the increase in computerization. This is a moment in history where we have to gather together and do some extraordinarily clear thinking about what it is that we're going to do with regard to the increased technology that we have now. That for example, technology is capable now of actually manufacturing a visual of an individual human being that is virtually identical to real-time videoing of that person and getting that person to say anything. This is a fundamental constitutional issue because it has to do with the protection of our own human nature against alteration and deception. The importance of truth and our ability to communicate truthfully with each other is at the heart of the First Amendment, of allowing people to engage in the exercise of free will, getting access to reliable information. This is an extraordinarily important issue that's going on here right in this year, 2020. We're asking you from the Romero Institute to follow what it is that we're monitoring here in the year 2020. Listen to what it is we have to say. We're not asking you to just take it for gospel, everything we're saying, but we want you to understand what it is that we're saying so that you can make your own judgment about what has to happen here. This year, 2020, is going to be one of the most important years in your entire life, even those who are born in the year 2020. So I want you to keep this in mind. I want you to stay in touch with the Romero Institute and spend this year as the most serious year of your life so far in your life, to learn what's going on our planet, what it is that needs to be done, what role you can play in this, over and above just voting, what you need to do to participate in community organizations, to participate in supporting the implementation of the green power projects in your region. It's time for democracy to rise up and to assert ourselves. We've had, ever since basically 1789, all of our people to get used to this. We're now being confronted with major human species threatening dangers right now, constitutional law threatening dangers right now. You need to educate yourself, mobilize, and get active here in 2020 so that we can look back on 2020 with 2020 hindsight and say that we did everything possible to save our species, to save our Constitution, to save our country, and to save our planet. Okay, that's my ask here at the beginning of the new year of 2020.